So like I said in a recent video, Dana White came out to social media last night and talked about, he just basically announced every fight for UFC 311, every important fight for UFC 311. And one of them is Islam Makhachev versus Arman Tsarukyan. It's finally official. It's been a fight that basically was kind of already verified for a long time now, kind of ever since Arman beat Charles. But it's finally officially official. And it's not surprising to see Islam is the betting favorite. But there's a lot of stuff to talk about with this fight. And I talked about this fight already a number of times, and I probably will talk about it a number of times more. But it's still good to give you guys my prediction and give you guys an update on my prediction for this fight. But yeah, Islam's the favorite, not surprised. And I would agree with it. You know, I'd agree with choosing Islam. I still have Islam winning. Islam Makhachev is the evolution of Russian MMA. You know, he is the evolution of it. It started out with Khabib. You know, it started out even earlier with I'm forgetting his name now. Okay, the name's gonna fucking come back to me, but he's a legend in MMA, not in the UFC in particular, but he's like one of the fucking, you know, MMA goats. Emelianenko, yeah, that's his fucking name. I forget the first name, but he is a legend. He's an absolute legend. You know, of MMA. He was there, you know, when it was first starting out. He was fucking killing people in Japan. He was huge. And Fedor Emelianenko, is coming back to me now. And you know, it started out with him. Then it became Khabib. Khabib came to the scene, started dominating guys on the ground, getting guys to the ground immediately, and then just kind of dominating them there. Most of the time submitting them, or all of the time submitting them. Perfect record, never lost a round, everything like that. That was basically Khabib, you know? And now, you know, from Fedor to Khabib, we got the latest model of Russian fighting in MMA. We got Islam Makhachev. Striking, A+. Grappling, A+. Well-rounded, damn near superhuman fighter. Winning and beating legends. You know, beat Volk twice. Beat Charles Oliveira. Submitted Charles Oliveira. Beat Dustin in a pretty much a slugfest. Not really knocked Dustin. He didn't really knock Dustin out, but you know, he still beat him. He submitted him, but it's still, you know, MMA is a bunch of different stuff all put together. So he beat Dustin, and he's a dominant fighter. He's a dominant fighter, and he absolutely owns the lightweight division. And I think he's well on his way to GOAT status. I really do. I think he's on his way to even eclipsing Khabib. But this is a very, very big it's a very, very big obstacle in that path to GOAT status. And that obstacle is Arman Tsarukyan. Arman Tsarukyan, you know, came into the UFC. He had a fight with Islam before. That fight was razor close, in my opinion. Islam won it by decision. Arman is a very gifted fighter. He's a very good grappler. And he has very good striking as well. I think he is just basically, he's Armenian. He's basically the Armenian Islam, you know. He's well-rounded. He's well-rounded. He's hungry. He's young. And this is a big opportunity for him, obviously. You just can't count him out. And I gave this fight a lot of thought, and I'm going to have to give it a lot more thought. Um, I had I've had Islam winning for a while, ever since Arman won against Charles. I think I'm going to continue to choose Islam. I think that's pretty much a lock for me, just because uh, you also got to factor in height. That's the one thing that I even forgot now that I counted in. It's height. Arman Tsarukyan is great, well-rounded, beautiful striker, great grappler. Like I said, basically the Armenian Islam. He's 5'7". It's the same shit that I said about Topuria. Topuria, Ngannou level power, great grappling, very entertaining in the octagon and outside of it. He's 5'7". Height matters, okay? It matters in fighting. It matters in a lot of things because it affects your reach. It affects whether or not you're going to be able to touch your opponent sometimes faster than your opponent can touch you, you know? Or how much effort do you have to put into your striking to touch your opponent relative to your opponent putting in that same effort to touch you. The height, the wingspan, all that matters. And to really, destroy the shorter fighters, you just got to be a good kicker. That's really what it is. You want to beat a short guy. If you're the taller guy than your opponent, you work kicks. You work kicks and you find a kick. And more than likely you'll find a home for that shin or that toe or that knee. And I think Islam will. And Islam's kicks are beautiful, And I said for Islam to do the same shit to do the same shit to Ilya that he did to Volk in their second fight. Because if you rewatch Islam versus Volk 2, it was that clean kick from Islam that put Volk out. And it's that same clean kick from Islam that can put Ilya out. And it's that same clean kick from Islam that could put Arman out. It can. Now, Arman's striking is great, so I'm not saying that it's a definite, thing for Islam to land a kick. But on top of that, in grappling, I think Arman's also kind of screwed because Dagestani grappling, I've said it before, I'll say it again, is probably the best version of grappling to date. And Islam has it on lock, especially being a part of Khabib's team and having Khabib in your corner and by your side all the fucking time. Constantly learning off of him. That's what Islam's doing. And then adding striking to that, that's why I call Islam the evolution of Russian MMA. And it's going to be very hard to beat, and I think it's damn near impossible to beat for everybody. For everybody in the UFC. Ilya, Arman, anybody else who wants to step up next. Islam Makhachev is the guy to beat, even more so than Jones, because John Jones is out the door. He's already headed out the door. He's already headed towards retirement. Islam he's got a ways to go, and he's already making leaps and bounds. And if Islam keeps carrying on like he's been doing, he's gonna be the MMA GOAT. He's going to be the UFC GOAT. He's going to reach that status, especially after putting Arman Tsarukyan down. And it's not going to be, much of an accomplishment putting Arman down because Arman doesn't really have that much of a name yet. Don't get me wrong, Arman's been racking up wins, but he's not like this huge superstar yet. Yes, he beat Charles, but he's not like wild on the mic. He's not memorable outside of the octagon. But inside, he's doing things. And if he continues to do things, he's going to be a star. And if he beats Islam somehow, he'll be an even bigger star. But it's that beating Islam thing that I'm very skeptical about. So, with that being said, I'm choosing Islam, obviously. I think Islam mixes it up. I think Arman does too. I think that both of them go back and forth for a while. But I think this fight goes to a decision, but I think the both of them go back and forth for a bit, for like just the beginning of the fight, and then Islam just shows levels. He'll be a step ahead of Arman on the ground, and he's going to be a step ahead of Arman on the feet. And it'll go to decision, it'll go the full 5, and after the full 5, the judges will choose Islam. Because Islam he'll garner more significant strikes than Arman. He'll probably land more punches than Arman will. And he just I'm not going to say just might. He will finish with more takedowns than Arman, and probably more control time as well. It's just going to be domination in every facet of the sport. I think Islam just dominates Arman in this second fight at UFC 311, and he wins by unanimous decision. He furthers his legacy, and he continues on his path to GOAT status. But let me know what you think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. But most importantly, subscribe. I love you guys, and I'll see y'all in the next.